Welcome to PA Voter Information Network. This is Larry DeMarco, your host. Hi, and welcome to another episode of PA Voter Information Network. I am your host, Larry DeMarco, and today we are here with Gwen McCullough. She is a member of the Coalition for Prison Reform of Delaware County. Gwen, thanks for being a guest on PA Voter Information Network.
Thanks for having me, Larry.
Tell us about your group.
Yes, I first heard about the Delco Coalition for Prison Reform. It was on a Facebook post. The post said, is anybody interested in helping to deprivatize Delaware County's private prison? And I was curious, so I replied and said that I was interested. I found out shortly thereafter that Delaware County has the only privately run prison in Pennsylvania. Out of all the 67 counties, Delaware County is the only privately run county jail.
Your group held a public forum on September 30th, 2018. Briefly summarize what you felt was important for the public to know.
We wanted to have a public forum for county council. We invited all the county council members to come. Brian Zidek was the only person to show up. Kevin Madden of the county council had a prior engagement and he couldn't make it, but the other county council members didn't show up. We wanted to...
Did they respond to you at all?
No, they did not come. Colleen Maroney and Michael Culp and John McLean did not come. We had empty chairs.
So briefly, what was important to convey to the council people and to the public?
The county council and the prison board, they were asked for a analysis. They wanted to find out if the prison would be economically better to run privately or to run in the county hands. So they did this cost to cost, like apples to analysis. They hired a group called Phoenix Management to do the study, and they were going to find out what would be the best bet for the county to move forward.
Did you get the results yet?
The results were supposed to be back mid-September, but we are still waiting for the results from Phoenix Management.
But you still presented a lot of information at the forum.
Yes, the purpose of the forum is that we wanted to not look at the economic side of things, but maybe rather look at the human cost of having a private prison and look at prisoners that were at George Hill Correctional Facility that had suffered, and they can share their story and because of mismanagement.
Gwen, you also had an anecdote to share and a personal story. What happened?
Yes. I spent some time at George W. Hill. I struggle with addiction in alcohol and cocaine. So ended up in a little bit of trouble, and I was in George W. Hill Correctional Facility 2 times. The first time I was there for 30 days and the second time I was there for 60 days. I've seen it like firsthand. I've never had an opioid addiction, but everybody that came through that door, like those doors, a majority of people were suffering from heroin withdrawal. It's very hard to watch. These people are like truly suffering, and when the people come through the jails, they're held in like an intake department. Some of the intake cells have holes in the floors. They don't even have toilets, so if the person has to go to the bathroom, they have to go in the hole.
So like animals, you mean?
Yes, they have to defecate in a hole. We have talked to the prison board and county council about this. They swear that it's only in cells that are holding cells, and that the people are only held there for a brief time. But we have spoken with several prisoners who said they've spent time in these cells for long periods of time.
Is this standard in the prison industry?
Well, it's inhumane. I mean, there's actually like a drain in the ground with like a string that you pull in the air so you can flush the toilet.
Your position is that private prisons are not a good idea, is that correct?
Yes.
Why? What support is there against private prisons?
Well, when you think about private prisons are run by a corporation and a company. And companies or corporations' main goal is to make profits. So that means they want to keep their beds filled as long as possible. They could actually lose money if they don't have beds filled.
So the idea is that it's profit over humane conditions.
Yes. that's what we're trying to portray at the forum.
So what's next for the Coalition for Prison Reform after the informative forum that you held?
Right now, the DELCO Coalition for Prison Reform is getting a lot of press attention, and that means a lot more prisoners are coming forward with their stories. And we're hearing a lot of stories that that coincide with each other, such as like prisoners will go to the dentist because they have a toothache and they have a cavity. Instead of filling the cavity, they'll have their tooth pulled. So instead of filling cavities, they pull teeth. We're also hearing horrific stories about intake and patients or prisoners with mental health disabilities that are not waiting weeks to get their medication. We would really like to see this change. We hear about staff staff members who are overworked. They make about $12 an hour. There's mandatory overtime, so they're basically spending like very long hours working in the jail. There's a lot of high turnover, so that means there's not a lot of training. They are very overworked, and the prisoner to guard ratio is very large. There is also the issue of commissary. When a person comes into the George W. Hill, they have to pay a $100 processing fee so they can get money on their books, so they can buy like food and shampoo, shower shoes. You're really given just a small baggie with like a washcloth and a bar of soap when you come into George W. Hill. So that means if a prisoner calls home to their mom or dad and says, you know, I'm in George Hill, can you send me some money? And those parents can only afford about $50. That $50 is part of the processing fee. So they still have to pay another $50 to pay off that $100, and then they can purchase items on their commissary. There's also the issue of visitation. Now they don't want to pay guards to supervise visitation, so they're getting rid of all in-person visitation. So meaning that there's only video visitation. So how like me and you are sitting right here and we're talking to each other, the prisoners are losing out on that. They can't hug their loved ones, they can't hold their loved ones' hands. They can only talk to them through a video screen. And when they do this process of having visitation through video screens, there is also an opportunity to charge. The prisoner's family has to pay money so they can talk to their loved ones on an iPad or a video camera.
And my understanding is that if a guard who is overworked at this extreme ratio of prisoner to guard, if they don't come in one day, then prisoners lose all rights and have to stay in a cell and don't get any type of liberty even within the prison until a guard comes back on duty, if I remember that from the forum.
I believe that was mentioned at the forum, so we can like urge county council to look at like the humane side of things and the personal suffering side of things rather than trying to save money.
What do you want to see county council do?
The contract is up for renewal in December, and we would like county council, Delaware County Council, not to renew the contract.
So is there an alternative in place? Is the county ready to take control?
We really would like, we know it's going to take time. It might take like a year-long process to get to the point where the county is ready to take control. But it's a process. Everything takes time. So we want the county council to start going in the direction of deprivatizing George Hill and having it run by the county.
And so that's the argument, the human element over profit, more toward rehabilitation rather than the punitive element.
Yes, a lot of the prisoners are suffering from opioid addiction, and they're sitting there. They're sitting there for maybe 30 days or 60 days. They have a prep program that people can, they spend like an hour a day like talking about like addiction and recovery. But most of the prisoners that we've talked to that have been in there say the program is a joke, that it really doesn't do anything to help them with their addiction. From what we hear, there's only AA and NA meetings there once or twice a week. I don't understand why there can't be AA or NA meetings 7 days a week. It doesn't cost anything to have an AA or NA meeting. It gets prisoners out of their cells. They can talk about their addiction and their recovery, and they can process everything that they've been going through.
All right, Gwen, well, let's leave it there, and let's hope that reform is on the way.
Yes, thank you.
And I want to thank you for being a guest on PA Voter Information Network.
Thank you for having me.
We have been here with Gwen McCullough, and I am your host, Larry DeMarco. If you like this episode, please forward it to all the people on your contact list and Facebook friends. We are signing off. Tune in next time. Bye for now.